Harihi Om. 3 times Omkara. Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Harihi Om. Suswagatam. We all are studying Amritabindu Upanishad, and it is a very subtle part of the Vedas. Let us chant first invocation prayer of Amritabindu Upanishad. Om Bhadram Karnibhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Tushtuvagam Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Kyadayuku Swasti na Indro Vruddhashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastaksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Bruhaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. A seeker, one who is striving hard to reach to the supreme reality, is doing a prayer to the governing faculties of this universe, as well as this little universe which is called as body, mind and intellect, for the blessings and kripa, so that this instrument remains healthy, sound, and then there's a possibility of reaching to that supreme goal through the path of knowledge, service, and devotion. So when we do this prayer to the Lord, Lord also understand that this person is striving now to reach to me. So let me help him. So how is this help? This help is through this support of knowledge. So as we have seen, Upanishad contains the highest knowledge, and that knowledge is means to reach to the supreme goal. That knowledge is means to reach to the abode of the Lord. That knowledge is to reach to that abode from where there is no return back possible. So that is the Upanishad, and that is the highest knowledge. In this Amritabindu Upanishad, in the first verse, what we have seen? Mano hi dvividham proktam shuddham cha shuddhameva cha ashuddham kama sankalpam shuddham kama vivarjitam. So, very simple way of explanation by the Upanishad. The first point is, we have two parts of our mind. One is called as Shuddha Manaha, another is called as Ashuddha Manaha. Now we are going to focus today more on this Shuddha, Ashuddha. What is called as Shuddha Manaha? Where it is devoid of any desire. And what is called as Ashuddha Manaha? So it is called as Kama Sankalpa Sahita. When there are lots and lots of desire in the mind, that mind is called as Ashuddha Manaha. So point number one, what are we trying to do now in this path of knowledge to reach to the supreme goal? Our first aim is to remove all that dirt from our mind. And that is the first task which is there in everyone's hand. Remove the dirt which is there in our mind. So the next question is there, can you see the mind to remove the dirt like we see the mirror? And if there is any, dust on the surface of the mirror, then we can clean it very easily. So it is not like that. Then how is it? It is very subtle form of dirt. It is in the form of desires. And desires always in the form of thoughts. So desire form a deep impression in our mind. Desire forms a deep impression in our mind. And that deep impression, when it happens, then from there, this so-called as fountain of thought springs up. Now, seeker must know, beginners should know this point. What is that? When we understand thoughts are just gushing into my mind, thoughts are just gushing into my mind, and I have no control over those thoughts. That means all thoughts are coming from my deep impressions of the mind, where you have no control. Why? Because it is now such a sort of condition where you have lost the control over our own mind. Okay. Now, what is the solution? Solution is coming in this Upanishad only. So where we can understand here that if it is because of the impression of the mind, so simple way to understand, let us reduce the impressions of the mind. What is the indication from our own intellectual standpoint? That let us reduce the impression of the mind. Then ask the question, what is the cause of impression? Cause of impression are different desires. Cause of different impressions are nothing but different desires. So one has to really reflect upon now this very important aspect. What are all desires which are hidden in actually my own mind? I can't see them, but they are there. How do we know? Unless and until a specific situation comes in our life, a specific atmosphere is developed, we cannot understand these desires which are there deeply rooted in our mind. Please note it, because someone can say that, oh, at present I don't have any desire. Oh, this to say, it is not a very wise statement. Why? Because there are n number of deep desires which are hidden in the very bottom line of the mind, bottom surface of the mind, not the upper surface of the mind. Okay. How to know it? Now, please note it. How do we know that the desire is there? So, continuous, when a person remembers about something, a person when continuously remembers about something, an object or the situation or the person, that itself is called as the desire. When you are continuously remembering, one more point where we will add, where the thought flow is not under your control. This, please note it. When the thought flow is not under your control and it is just gushing and hitting your surface of the mind, that means that is called as deep impression in our mind. Example, simple example of mine is, as soon as the morning comes up and people get up, the first thing what they remember is morning. Wow, if you are in Delhi or in a cold places, adrak wali chai. That's how people remember that. That's how I want. And if you do not get it for few moments of life or some hours of life, then the mind becomes so agitated. It says, how is it so? Where is my maid? And so on and so forth. Now just imagine one point and the mind is continuously thinking about that object which is called as tea. This is called as deep desire of the mind. I just gave one example to understand what is called as deep desire. When thoughts are uncontrollable and they just hit the surface of the mind again and again, continuously. So here it is said, this mind is ashuddha manaha. Okay, it is a ashuddha mana. Swamiji, one question. What is that question? Oh my dear. See, first let us know that what we are trying to do to clean the mind, is it possible? A very basic question. Is it possible? Because this question is asked by a seeker who has really tried himself or herself for months together. Okay. Now please understand, when somebody strives for months together or few years together and says it is very difficult and it is impossible, please note it. Understand this mind, which is not born with the body as the body takes the birth in this so-called as physical existence of ours. Please note, mind is coming from the beginning of the creation. Please note this point. Your mind or everyone's mind is not a mind which is born because there is a birth of this physical body and then the physical existence is continuing. No. This mind is right from the beginning of the creation. Now just imagine, can you understand from when there is a creation, what day is the first day of creation? No, it is not possible. Therefore, it is said this mind is also beginningless. Please note it. This mind is also coming from beginningless time. Now you can appreciate, my God, that means the impurity of the mind is not because of this birth or some previous birth, but n number of births which we all have taken in this so-called as universe. Now this is an important aspect one must continuously reflect upon, that therefore if this mind is beginningless and it is coming from the beginning of this creation, how much time it will take to get completely purified? It will take good time. Please understand, it will take good time. Therefore, the seeker who continuously looks at time, कितना टाइम हो गया अभी, 2-4-5 महीने हो गए मैं ये सब कर रहा हूं, कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. Oh, this sort of approach, it is a very shallow approach. It's a very shallow understanding. So what is a right understanding? I have taken this path. I know this path is the perfect path. Which path? The path of knowledge, which is the authentic path and supported by the authentic means called as Vedas. And one more support. What is that? Because n number of great people have walked this path and reached to that supreme level of truth. And therefore, there is no ambiguity at all. Please note it. There is no ambiguity at all. Now, what is lacking? The one and one only thing, my self-efforts. My own capacity to do the best. And my own subtle understanding has to grow. So these are the only points which we have to really give and make it a very strong. Give a good reflection, give a good time, give a good sort of effort and make them very strong. And that's how one can really slowly, steadily can reach to that supreme goal. So today in this first verse, again we have reflected that what is Shuddha Manah, what is Ashuddha Manah. So what is Shuddha Manah? Kama Sankalpa Varjitah. When there is no so-called as dirt of desire. And that mind is called as Shuddha Manah. Now the second verse which we were discussing is a fantastic verse where Bhagavan is, emphasizing upon the liberation as well as bondage. What is that? Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandhana mokshayoho bandhaya vishayasaktam muktam nirvishayam smrutam. Now two important points said here. One is called as bondage, another is called as liberation. Then the cause of both is said here. The cause of bondage is attachment to the Vishaya, world of objects. And cause of liberation is complete removal or destruction of this attachment to the world of objects. And that's called as liberation. Now, first and foremost, Swamiji Sometimes I get this thought, what is that? Oh my dear, Swamiji, why should I strive hard? Everything is going fine. my, my son, daughter are well placed, and whatever I have now, and I'm managing my life quite well, and I'm comfortable here. Okay. So this is what people actually imagine, that there is no change required. Such people cannot follow this path of knowledge at all. Why? Because they haven't done the reflection part. They haven't done a vivek, that is called as discrimination. And they have never come to that called as satsang, where they got this knowledge that think, the first important point. Think, why is this birth? What is the cause of birth? Why am I there in this world? Now, this point or this thought would not come in the common person's life at all. Why? Because they are so much engrossed with their own attachments and their own so-called as name, fame, power, and money. This thought will not hit their mind at all. So to hit this thought in the mind, it requires certain level of purity. Certain level of purity. So please understand, if this thought is hit in your mind, that why is this birth, that means you have attained a good amount of purity of the mind. And now here the discrimination has to work, and for that certain important aspect of knowledge is no doubt required. No doubt required. What is that? Now just imagine. Is the life goal only a money? So answer for a little intellectual person is no. Is the life whole purpose or goal can be the objects of the world? So again, if you have a good intellectual understanding, the answer is no. Is the life goal to gain some friendship or some relationship in the life? Again, if you have a good discrimination, you will say no. Then what is the purpose of life? You will say, oh Swamiji, it is so clear. What? I want happiness. Just see. My life whole goal is happiness. Okay. Can this happiness remain forever with you, which you today understand, which comes from the action? Please note, because majority of the people understand happiness is coming because of some action. Think about it. Happiness is coming because of some action. I'm just giving because I got this thought again, so I'm laughing with my own self. I thought the same thought. What if I have a tea in the morning, and that too the best tea with all right content which I want, then I says, my God, wah Taj. I'm just joking. I say that, wow, aaj maja aa gaya. Now, this aaj maja aa gaya, ye jo feeling of happiness hai, it is because of the action. Please understand. Which action? This drinking tea is a cause of this happiness. So mind says, see, if I have to be happy and give that aha, that aha feeling, that means I have to do something. Yes or no? See, mind get caught up in this trap, that if I want this aha moment, then I have to do some action. And therefore, the mind continuously wants an action, and action cannot happen without the desire. For a common person, action cannot happen without the desire. Please note it. And therefore, now you can now appreciate, in all big companies, they give incentives as a motivation that if you achieve this target, then you will be sent to Singapore for a 3 days tour. You will be sent to Dubai for 5 days, 4 nights, and so on. Now, this is called as showing them a carrot, that unless and until you do it, you will not get it. So therefore, everyone is doing to achieve that happiness because of some different action. Okay, so hope it is clear that our mind, please note now, is caught up in this trap that happiness is possible only when you do the action. Please note it. That is a trap. Now, this mind is attached to the action. Please note it. This mind is attached to the actions. This mind has to do action because it is now in a compulsive mode. Please note it now, yes or no. There one has to understand, my God, without some specific action, this mind does not allow me to sit peacefully in one place. And there it is called as bondage. This is a bondage. When your own mind does not allow you to sit for half an hour peacefully without doing any action, without having any object, without having any person, without having any different situation. If your mind does not allow you to sit absolutely in peace for half an hour, I'm just giving an example, half an hour, that mind is under complete bondage. So I explained this whole, action, so-called as cycle, to make everyone understand how I am under the bondage. Now, this bondage, it is not on the level of something which is called as physical. This bondage is in the very subtle form, which is called as desire, which is called as vasana, which is called as thought. This level, this bondage is. And therefore, what is said, muktam nirvishayam smritam. Muktam nirvishayam smritam. That means this mind, when it is devoid of desires of the world of objects, that time this mind is free of this bondage. Here is a promise one has to give to oneself, because nobody is actually helping us to grow spiritually. Please understand. Why? Because unless and until I decide myself, can any support do anything to me? Hope my question is clear. Unless and until I decide. Example, like if a patient is there and suffering with some disease, if that patient refuses to take medicine, now medicines are there, doctors are there, people are there to help, but is it of any use? No. It is of no use at all. Actually, that means unless and until you start, helping yourself, no help of this world has any meaning. Yes or no? Yes. You have to start first helping yourself. And what is this help? Start developing determination. That's the first important help you can give to yourself. Start developing that determination. What? Yes, I have to do it. Let there be any obstacle, I should do it. This strong determination is required. First. Second, when you have this determination, then you will appreciate the support of everything which will take you to this supreme goal. Then comes the support of the Guru and the scriptures. So Guru's support, the first Guru's support works when my faith in Guru is complete. It does not work if my faith in my Guru is not complete and there is ambiguity. No, it doesn't work then at all. Okay. Then first one must understand, let me firm my faith in my Guru. So how to do this task of making a firm faith or having a firm faith in the Guru? Now, as per my opinion and as per my experience, I'll tell you, it is not because of any action, but it is by the Krupa of the Almighty. I don't know what can be your experience, but this is my experience, that this only can happen, the complete faith in the Guru only can happen if the grace of the Lord comes to all of us. That's my experience. You can reflect, you can go deep dive and understand what is your experience. So this is the first point. When our faith becomes very strong, unshakable, then please note it, then the words of the Guru start actually hitting our mind. Then actually start hitting our mind. Otherwise, it goes inside, but it does not hit actually as it should hit. So Pujya Guruji says in very different way. He says, गुरु को तो सब मानते हैं, बट गुरु की बात कोई नहीं मानता है. तो क्यों नहीं मानता है? Hope now it is clear. Because it is entering in the mind, but it is not hitting. Why? Because of lack of faith. That faith which is called as unshakable faith. Okay, so I'm trying to make it more clear for every one of us that how it is possible to use this tool, means of knowledge, to grow in our sadhana. So these are the important aspects which are required. Then now take up the third verse which we are going to start today. Amritabindu Upanishad, verse number 3. Tato nirvishayasya manaso muktirishyate ato nirvishayam nityam manakaryam mumukshuna. Let us first see the free-flowing understanding or translation of this verse. Ataha, since asya nirvishayasya manaha mukti ishyate. Asya nirvishayasya, of the one free from all the sense object. What free from all the sense object? mind. So this mind, which is free from all the sense object, that state is called as mukti. That state is called as mukti. What is that then? When a mind devoid of any objects, that state, that so-called as situation, that so-called as and called as quality of the mind is called as mukti, liberation. Ato nirvishayam. Now it is said, therefore, free from the desire of this sense object, nityam manah karyam mumukshuna. Then what is the task for all the mumukshu? One who is striving hard for liberation is called as mumukshu. One who has intense desire for liberation is called as mumukshu. So for this person, what is a karyam? Nityam karyam eva. What is that? Let your mind be nirvishayam. Let your mind be devoid of all the objects. Bhagavan, kya ho gaya? No, I remembered. Lord, why? But Swamiji, is it possible ever that the mind will be devoid of the objects? Good question. Is it possible sometime that the mind will be devoid of the objects? I say, yes, it is possible. Swamiji, let us explain. Okay. Now I'll first give one example. You are for hours together, some are there for 4 hours, some are there for 5 hours, some are there for 6 hours, and some Kumbhakarna family people are there in this state for 10 hours. What is that? Sleep. Now just imagine those who are in sleep. Do your mind carrying any object in this state? No object is there in this state of deep sleep with my mind at all. Therefore, your mind can be devoid of object. It is proved. Yes or no? Yes. Now just another example I'll give. If your mind does not leave the thought of object, does not leave the thought of some situation, does not leave the thought of some person, can you sleep? Answer is no. That means the moment you drop thought of object, thought of any situation, thought of any person or anything else in the world, you go to sleep. That time, in your mind, there are no objects. Now I ask the question, are the objects are there in the world or not? Yes. Are the objects are there in your room where you are sleeping or not? Yes. Then how they are not in your mind? Good point of reflection. This we will describe you tomorrow morning. Till then, you must reflect, oh my God, yes, it is possible. Then how is it possible now to keep mind devoid of object when you are in waking stage. That is the now challenge. Okay, let us take up this challenge tomorrow. Till then, I give a time you to reflect and bring the answer. Okay, so let us reflect now. Sit wherever you are in a good firm posture. Give command to your mind and body. No movement. If you are wearing any spectacle, please you can remove them. Close your eyes. Check that all the body parts are fine. No discomfort. Eyes are gently closed. Facial expression is pleasant. Let us turn our focus on our breathing process for a minute to gain a good concentration of the mind. Having gained a good sort of concentration, let us remember all important points discussed during today's session. Knowledge of the Upanishad is no doubt a great support, but a person who is not ready to take up this very subtle sort of goal in life, which is to experience the supreme reality, to reach to this supreme truth, to remove the bondage and experience the absolute freedom. Till then, no support can do anything to this person. Develop that determination of gaining the supreme reality, attaining the supreme reality, realizing the true nature of our own, then alone the support can do a great miracles for us. As we have seen in this path, there are two important supports. One is Guru and another is Shastra. The teacher and the scriptures. So to the feet of our teacher, we must have unshakable faith. We must have unshakable faith. Because lack of faith or no faith will not help us to reach to this supreme reality. It requires a grace of Almighty Supreme Lord to gain this unshakable faith at the feet of our teacher. Because through the teacher, the words of the Shastra entering in our mind and intellect, they only can hit to the right target when there is a complete faith at the lotus feet of our teacher. Develop this unshakable faith in both the teacher and the scriptures, which will take us to that supreme height of reality. The nature of that is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Om. You can bring your hands in Namaskar position. Have gratitude towards the Almighty Lord who has given us this time and this subtle knowledge. Have gratitude towards each and everyone around us. Pray for everyone. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramaya. You can rub your hands together. Create a nice warmth. Put them both on your eyes. Give a good gentle massage. Bring them back to the Namaskar position. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.